All right. So I don't know if I'm going to post this one or not, but I like to make videos and then kind of go back and see where my points in view were going towards and leaning towards. It's kind of like learning yourself and your mind and everything. But you know, this past week, there's been a lot going on. That's the cycle in life. It's never going to be one thing. It's going to be different events lining up to different things. They can turn into be chaotic or just a series of events. But that's the journey in life and the joy. Not fully knowing what your destination is going to be. You can sometimes see where you're going, but not all the time fully know where you're going to be. You can plan, but plan all day, but events are gonna happen the way they happen. But I've been finding myself trying to strengthen my faith in Christ because I've just been seeing so many different events, and it's scary. And for me, what I believe in, because not everyone's going to believe in the same thing, and that's respectable. But for me, it's trying to strengthen that because it's in the end, this world will pass, but our souls, if we live according, then we're going to be able to go to heaven, and be with our Father in heaven. And but it gets serious. But it's been trying to strengthen myself, in that area, but not just in that, but just in general, positive self affirmations and self building confidence, but also your outlook on life, your goals, your intentions. And one thing, you could plan all day, it goes back to that, but eventually there's got to be steps to be taken. Talking to myself on that one too, but it's all in what you want out of life. And if you see something you want, it's good to try to work for that. But it's like the whole money spending thing, analogy. It's when you see a purchase or something you want to buy and it's above a certain amount, you got to ask yourself, is it really worth getting? And you have to kind of tear down and see how important it is, and like, is it worth getting, and how long will it last? What's it going to be utilized for? It's just like that with our events and stuff we want in life. Planning is good. It's good for the mind, but also just visualize. Visualization training, mentally is powerful, and it strengthens your thought process. And that's something that I've noticed I've been lacking is having structure with that. But we all have something we gotta work towards or gain, or that's the beauty in life. We're never done learning. This is like a classroom, and that's why I love deep thinking and deep thought, because honestly, you never know where you're gonna end up. You could be talking about one thing, and then with someone else, it'll totally go off into a whole different realm. It's awesome. The beauty of talking. But yeah. So I just, each day, if you just take something from it that adds on to you, and if you fail in something, try to work through it. You might not succeed, the first time go around, but eventually the more you work at it, as my pastor says, it's what you feed it. So if you're feeding something negative in your life, that's gonna, unfold. The fruit's gonna be there for that. But if you feed your character, your mindset, your faith, those things are going to be even stronger than your demons, your battles that you're facing. It's easier said than done, because I've been trying to practice that, and whew, it gets hard. It gets very weighty. But that's the thing. The more we try, the more we practice, eventually it's like a muscle, you start working it out, it starts tearing, thus your uh, things in your life, it's tearing you down, it's building you to be able to get past that and on to the next step in your life. And some steps might take longer than others. You might be there longer than you anticipated, but it's not a setback, because eventually, even if you have to take detours, eventually that detour, what does it do? It goes back to a main road or something like that, right? It's not a setback, it's a temporary adjustment to get to your primary destination. And it's like a tree root, it's like there's a center core, but then it branches out. And that's cool, because those journeys, you get to learn more and more and more, because if you just keep going straight, there's other things on the side of the roads that you're missing. It's like paying attention to the different signs and gaining knowledge in life, because that piece of knowledge you gained could be prosperous to someone else later on in life, and I think that's the beauty of just connecting with other people and seeing their points of views, right? Because I love the quote. I say it many times. Talking to others builds friendship and camaraderie. And it's true. I took that from Naruto. I always love watching Naruto, because it's like, just take something from it. It's like with anything. But it's, if there's people that feel maybe they're out of sorts with themselves or in themselves, it's just battles that we have to go through, right? As a human being, we think a lot. We tend to make things a lot harder than they need to be. And, it's a good thing and a bad thing, because you can learn hard things, pretty quickly. But it's not a bad thing, I would say. It just means you're growing, you're advancing, and yourself within yourself. But, I love seeing people smile. Something you say and it resonates with them, it hits their core, their center, and you see something spark off in them. But not everything you do or say is going to be something that someone likes or agrees with. And that's the beauty of being alive, because we're not all going to agree on something, right? But it's doing, like, arguing. You can argue and have your points of view in a healthy manner, but I think these days it gets deep. It can turn into a lot of stuff on that topic, but it's coming back to the mindset that you have rights and to say and feel, but doing it in a healthy manner. That's with anything in life. And it's, I think, something we take for granted. And it's remembering the core factors in life is, we're all citizens, depending on where you live, but it's, we all live in this world regardless. And I was telling a friend, I was like, man, what would the world be if, all this energy that's being spent with negative, demonic behavior, that's hurting this earth and the people in it. What better would this world be if that same energy was spent on helping others, lifting others, building others, in a community in general. I know it's like a sort of a fantasy, idealism, but it's powerful, because, man, shoulda, coulda, woulda, what if stuff, but man, I'm telling you, we'd be pretty good. But I mean, man, it'll get you thinking, it'll get you praying and wishing. But I mean, sadly, that's not the times we live in, and we never have. But that just means the people that have that great heart, most people do, some people don't. But it's sharing that. I've learned to share my heart, share my talents with others, because something you do or have inside of you could bless someone else. It could show them a path or something they've been working on. You wouldn't even know, and something you give to them knowledge-wise or feeling-wise could like set them on a path, and they're like, man, I needed that. They might have been searching and just weren't really sure about, that step or what they were needing, And I'm telling you, I mean, that stuff's powerful. It seems trivial and small, but it's the small things, like small little steps over time, can turn into something big, something beautiful. And, you can have the greatest heart, but not know how to use it properly. And that's the thing, is you could have this greatest tool, but if it's dull, it's still a beautiful tool. But if it's dull, it's not going to be able to cut accurately, and make precise measurements in what you're doing. And I'm learning that about myself too, but I just wanted to go over this, kind of rambling, but, insightful stuff, because it's important. Talking is beautiful, conversations, points of views, and you don't all have to agree on the same thing, but it's just knowing that we're all in this world together. And I don't want to make the video too long, but yeah, I just wanted to talk over some points and just chat, send some love out there and some good positive energy in the world. But we're all learning. We're not perfect, but we'll get there eventually. But keep shining, keep trying, and good things are coming. Peace.